Let's talk about Vancouver real estate market in May 2024. We're going to look at some statistics. We're going to look at some charts. I know, very exciting, very glamorous. The headline this month is that inventory levels are up to pandemic levels. We haven't seen such high inventory levels in the last 4 years. And if we look at the actual statistics, there were a total of 7,092 new listings on the market in April 2024. That's about a 64.7% increase as comparing to April 2023. Quite a big increase, and this is also about 25.8% above the 10-year seasonal average. As far as the total number of listings, so not just focusing on new listings, but all listings on the market, there is a total of 12,491 listings. That's a 42.1% increase compared to April 2023 and about a 16.7% above the 10-year seasonal average. The sales figures are also up, but they haven't increased as aggressively as the inventory did. So if we look at the sales, there were a total of 2,831 sales recorded in April 2024. That's about a 3.3% increase comparing to April 2023. And this number is still about 12.2% below the 10-year seasonal average. As far as the prices go, by the category, detached housing market is up about 6.3% comparing to last year, April 2023 to April 2024. And it is also up about 1.6% in the month from March till April 2024. If we look at the apartment prices, they're up about 3.2% comparing to April 2023. However, there is a slight price decrease comparing March to April 2024 of about 0.1%. And if we look at attached home sales, that represents about a 4.3% increase in the last year and about a 1.3% increase just in the last month. Talking about these numbers and looking at them in isolation is one thing, but let's actually look at the historical trends by looking at some graphs. We're going to look at a few different statistics for all property types across the whole Greater Vancouver real estate board. We're not going to break it down by different property type. We're also not going to break it down by different price ranges or different areas. Otherwise, this video will be several hours long. The first statistic we will touch on is the sales price. So here I have the number set to average. And as you can see, historically speaking, the prices are increasing across the board. They reached sort of the peak level in April 2022, so about 2 years ago. And since then, they were up and down, and right now they're kind of holding steady, but they are slightly up as comparing to the winter months. The next interesting statistic that I want to take a look at is the total number of inventory. That is basically the statistic that makes all the headlines right now. So if we look at that statistic, we can see how the inventory fluctuates. This is a 10-year period. And of course, the inventory levels are very seasonal. If you look at a couple of years back to April 2021, the inventory levels were similar, but still lower than what we see today. If you look at the inventory levels back to April 2020, the inventory levels are still lower than what we see today. I mean, they reached the peak in about September 2020, going back a little bit more to April 2018, they were lower. You get the picture. The inventory levels are unusually high for April. If you look at the number of new listings, we can see that the number of new listings is very high, not only for April, but just unusually high for any season. The highest levels we've seen were in April and March 2021. So we're not at those levels, but we are sort of similar. March and April of last year were also quite high in terms of new listings, but not as high as what we see this month. And there's also a pretty big jump between March and April this year. Usually there isn't such a huge jump between the 2 months. And I actually think it has to do with Easter. Surprisingly, a lot of people are waiting until after this Easter long weekend to list their property, because you never know how long your property is going to stay on the market. And usually sellers don't really want to have their property listed over the long weekend because a lot of people go away. So there is less buyers. And also it's just not as nice to show your property during holidays because you want to spend time with your family instead of having sort of potential buyers come through the property. So Easter actually has a pretty big effect on the real estate market. This year we had Easter early, so that kind of aided with the total number of listings. People in March were waiting until after Easter to list, and anecdotally speaking, I saw that myself. A lot of new inventory came on the market the first and the second weeks after Easter. Coming back to this graph, actually, let's talk about the days on the market. As you can see here, the days on the market have actually gone down, surprisingly. There is more inventory, there's more new listings, and you would assume that these listings would be sitting on the market for longer. But in fact, the days on the market number is quite low. We're looking at about 27 days in general between all different property types across Greater Vancouver Real Estate Board. In January, that number was way higher, almost double, but usually winter seasons are slower. As you can see, January 2023 was similar story. If you look at all of these peaks, they're pretty much winter months, and for the spring and summer months, that number kind of goes down. And so far, that seems to be the trend. Even though there is a lot of new inventory coming to the market seems to be able to absorb this inventory. There's still enough buyers in the market sort of buying up the inventory. That's why the days on the market number is so low. But because we saw so much new inventory come to the market in April, I think that number is going to go back up for May once we get those statistics next month. Looking at the total number of sales, and you can see that the sales are up. They're not as high as what we've seen in some months. As you can see, March 2022, April 2022, those were the busier months. If we go back another year, March 2021 and April 2021, again, much stronger months. But sort of historically speaking, outside of these crazy peaks, we are sort of in line. So I think the 10-year average is skewed a little bit because we had quite a few very busy seasons. If you remember 2016, if you remember 2021, and some parts of 2020, those numbers have really drove the market and they sort of increased the 10-year seasonal average. So that's not to say that the market is back to normal. It is not. But I think the total number of sales is slightly skewed by these peaks that we've seen in the past years. To sum all of this up, I think the market is becoming more active. Clearly, we see a lot more new inventory coming, and that's good or bad news depending on who you are, whether you're a buyer or a seller. Of course, for buyers, that is a welcome news. You have more inventory. For the sellers, maybe not such welcome news because you have more competition. That's why it's more important than ever to price your property correctly. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching it all the way until the end. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the YouTube channel for more videos like this. And if you're a buyer and you don't know where to start, I have a free complete buyer's guide that will be linked in the description below. It's not a sales pitch. You don't have to sign up for anything. It's just a tool that you can use if you need to. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.